Hi guys, and welcome back to Chengi's World. So glad to have you guys. Whoop whoop. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, make sure that you do that thing and join this party. And if you have subscribed and you're coming back, welcome back, baby. It's always good to see you guys. Now today I really wanted to talk about this thing that has, again, like I always do with all my videos, something that has been churning in my spirit, and therefore I believe it's churning in somebody's spirit as well. And that is, should I go back to a relationship? I think that this is a subject that so many of us, in fact I would probably hazard to say almost all of us, have asked ourselves this question on the journey at some point. And some of us have answered that question by going back, and in so doing, some have experienced the best possible results, and some of us have regretted going back. Now, what I wanted to say to you guys, if you're in a situation where you're in a long-term relationship or you are married, usually something triggers that question, and that is the most important thing. What is triggering that question? Because when we walk away from a relationship, usually we have a valid reason. It might not be legal spiritually. If you are from a legalistic spiritual background, you may be divorced, but not for spiritually legal reasons. And that's not a conversation I'm having right now, or it might be for reasons that nobody else understands or appreciates or whatever. And you are caught up in a situation where you're asking yourself, should I go back when my reason's good enough? Or you find yourself single longer than you thought you would. You haven't replaced that guy as quickly as you thought you have. Or you've met so many different guys and you realize that what you left behind was actually not a bad deal. And you have you're in this place now where you're thinking, should I try going back to an old ex? Or you've just been single and you're bored and the old ex has come back into your life and he's in a different place and space in his life and you're thinking maybe a second go. Or you are desperate, or you are lonely, or whatever, but there is a reason why you have decided to go back. Now, what happens to us psychologically is when we move forward from a relationship, all the ugly stuff starts to fade away. The reason we left becomes, as time passes, is broken out of our minds, and we start to have only pleasant memories of the relationships. And then the relationship wasn't so bad after all, because we have forgotten that we have literally, physically and emotionally forgotten the bad stuff because of what happened. So we start to have a show reel of the good times, and we start to think of that person in a certain pleasant kind of way. Now, for me, I have this belief, and perhaps that would change as I evolve and grow, that there's a reason why something is in your past. And that usually when we go into our past digging for gold or digging for anything good or bad, nothing good will come of it. I'm reminded of a scripture from Paul, who says in one of the books in the Bible, don't ask me where, you know this, you can Google it, but he says, I press on, forgetting everything behind me, and that he says, I don't really focus on past glories either. I don't consider past glories, and I don't consider the things of the past. And so whether they're good, bad, or ugly, he presses on and he moves forward. So I have always been a believer that the only thing to do in life is to forget the past, the good stuff and the bad stuff, and search for new victories and search for new glories. Because when we go digging in the past, we will get messy inevitably. But I have also lived long enough, and I've seen enough, and I constantly respond to messages from you guys of women that want to go back, and much of that, and I would say 90% of that, is because right now you're lonely, you've just broken up with someone, things haven't gone the way you thought, and Mr. Yesterday is on the scene or is available, you think. And then what happens is you go into that relationship and then you remember the mess, and then the relationship becomes toxic. Or you go back to the relationship and you remembered why you left in the first place, and then now you're in a bad place because you keep going back. My mom used to say only a dog goes back to its vomit. There's a reason why we things were expelled from our lives, people were expelled from our lives. And I unfortunately have that philosophy when it comes to friends and old friends. I don't go into my past digging for old friends, whether they were good or bad. I allow God to reintroduce them to me in the right context at the right time. But even when they come back, I don't try and reference what we had. I try and create what we can have right now. But is there a case for going back? Absolutely. If time has passed and things have changed. I have two friends right now who are married to their ex-husbands. Obviously, this is 20, 15 years later, because the truth is things have changed for the both of them. They're not the people that they used to be. Time has passed. Water has gone under the bridge and flowed away from the bridge, and they are together now and they are having a good time. However, even in those marriages, there's still issues of the past that do come up. This is how you used to behave and you haven't changed. And because the truth of the matter is, do we change our nature? We can change our thoughts, we can change our beliefs, we can change our perspective, but our nature remains the same. And unless we yield that to God. So, there are things, oh, I remember you used to do this and you still do it. Now, it might not even be fair because they might just be doing what they used to do, but they're not doing it from the same place that they were doing it. But if you are to go back into a relationship, don't go back into that relationship expecting that person to be completely and utterly different. There are going to be things about them that remain the same. There are going to be things about them that haven't changed, that will never change, that fundamentally make them who they are. So are there successful relationships of people who've gone back and reestablished and had babies and a happy life? Absolutely they are. And the only thing that I would say is, be sure that the reason you're going back is the right reason. Are you going back because you feel like you are under obligation, because you feel under some obligation to go back? Are you under pressure to go back? Are you feeling lonely? Are you feeling like you can't do better than this person? Are you feeling like you're nothing without them? Are you feeling so lost and broken because the relationship has ended that it's just easier to go back to what you know? When this question comes up in your heart and in your head, you have to be sure you know why you went back. You need to know that you went back for the right reasons, because you re-met this person, that you like who they've become, and that they like who you've become, and that you're prepared to explore this new relationship, and it's completely and utterly valid for you to re-examine something that happened and realize, actually, you're a different person. I'm seeing qualities in you that I hadn't seen before in the past. It's valid if you feel that you took someone for granted and you thought you could do better, but in fact you realized that what you had in that person was pure gold, and now you want it back. But are you prepared to change and be different? So I constantly have guys coming back to me. They want back, but I always ask them, I'm still the same person. I haven't changed. Whatever made it not work is still there. Probably I'm not even aware that why, because so are you prepared to come back to the same person? And if you go back to somebody, you've got to be prepared to go back to that person as they were, as you understood them, and say to yourself, okay, if this person hasn't changed and I truly miss them and really miss what we had, will I be able to live with those things that before made it impossible for me to be happy with them? And that's why I left. You really have to have that very deep conversation with yourself. And No one can give you the right or wrong answer. And if you are in a position where you want to go back, but you feel as though your family, your friends, society would never approve, then obviously, usually there are reasons why they don't approve, possibly really valid. Maybe he was violent and maybe your life is in danger, whether it's your emotional life, your spiritual life, or your physical life. There might be a reason, but maybe you do want to go back, and maybe that opportunity is available for you. I would say that if you should ever go back to an old spouse, I don't think that you should try and manage that transition back yourself. I am an advocate for therapy. I believe that every single human being should have a therapist. I don't at the moment, but the moment I can afford to have one on standby, I will sure have one. Okay. But I truly believe that, a transition of going back must always be managed by somebody who is impartial, somebody who is qualified, and somebody who can help you dig up those issues that broke you up in the first place and help you heal in a safe environment emotionally. So my advice to you is, if you do want to go back to an ex, whether it's an ex-boyfriend, ex-husband, ex whatever, I suggest that you take the time out to get help. Go to your pastor, go to a therapist, go to a spiritual leader and say, look, this is what I'm considering. Can we come for counseling with you? Can we see if this is feasible to bring it back to life? Can we bring this thing back to life? And definitely reach out for some help. But when all is said and done, when it comes to going back, the decision must be 100% yours. So that's from me to you. I certainly hope this was helpful, that this video was helpful for you. And we shall explore this at a later date, talking about the spiritual dimensions and the aspects of going back. And is it valid? And how does God feel about it? So for those of you who are Christian and really want to get to the deep depths of the subject, then by all means, we will one day explore that. It's that this video is not made for that. It's to really just help somebody out there who is struggling with the decision of, should I go back? So I hope I was able to give you a few nuggets and a few helpful tips for managing that transition back or deciding to move forward. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to subscribe. Of course, you have to. And leave a comment, guys. I will see you guys in my next video. I'll see you on Facebook, Instagram. I hope to see you on there, and on Twitter, Changi Pod. Hook up with me on there, and I will see you soon. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye now.